We planned a family reunion at your beach house. 47 people for days. My sister texted back in May. Stock the fridge by Friday. I was sitting at the kitchen island, still in scrubs. My daughter half asleep on the couch with her Switch. I hadn't been asked. Not once. No. Hey, Bella, are those dates open? No. Would that work for you? Ethan and Milo. Just an announcement, like I was the concierge at a resort they already owned. I stared at the message for a long time. I typed no. I watched the bubbles pop up, disappear, pop up again. Then her reply came through. We're coming anyway. What are you going to do? Call the HOA. I didn't respond. I put my phone face down and tried to focus on the lasagna I picked up on the way home. Milo patted over in socks, hair sticking up, that soft look she gets when she's not fully awake. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, kiddo, I lied. Just family stuff. She nodded like she'd heard that line 1,000 times. Because she had. I'm Bella, 42, a neurosurgeon in Jacksonville, Florida, married to Ethan. Stepdad. No, just mom, as far as I'm concerned. To Milo, who's 11. I've been in her life since she was 3. I adopted her when she was 5. Her biological mother disappeared long before I showed up. My family lives an hour inland in a town that thinks doctor means you owe us forever. My parents raised 3 kids, me, my younger brother Mark, and my sister Paige. I'm the oldest and the only one who left. When my career took off, I did what I thought oldest daughters are supposed to do. I helped. I paid off my parents' lingering credit card debt, $14,200 gone in one transfer. I covered the last 7 years of their property taxes because the county keeps raising them. Bella, we're drowning. I sent $1,000 every month to a joint account in my mother's name so they wouldn't have to worry about groceries. I co-signed on Mark's truck. I gave Paige $20,000 for a down payment on her house when her husband's business went under. When my parents' AC died in the middle of July, I replaced the whole system. When hurricanes came through, I bought generators, plywood, hotel rooms. And 5 years ago, when my salary got obscene and I started making the kind of money people only whisper about, I bought the beach house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bunk rooms, wraparound deck with an ocean view. Nothing insane by neurosurgeon standards, but to my family it might as well have been a castle. This is all of ours, my mom said the first time she stood on the deck. Not yours. Ours. That should have been my first warning. They started calling it the family house. They'd text Ethan like he was the booking manager. Hey, we want to use the house the second week of June. Not is it free? Just we'll be there. They left sand in the showers, sticky beer rings on the tables, broke a TV, and didn't know what happened. I swallowed it. I told myself this was what success was for. Nobody in my family had ever had money. I could handle ringing up a couple of deep cleans and replacing a TV. What I couldn't handle was the way they treated my kid. Milo is quiet. Not shy exactly, just careful. She reads thick fantasy books, draws these detailed sci-fi cities in her notebook, and gets overwhelmed when a room gets too loud. My parents never said it outright, but they made it clear. Mark's and Paige's kids were the real grandkids. Milo was your wife's girl. At Christmas, the other kids had stockings with their names embroidered. Milo had a generic red one my mom grabbed from a multi-pack. In family photos, they'd forget to call her over. At my dad's 70th, my mom introduced the grandkids to her church friends as my 3 from Mark, my 2 from Paige, and this is Milo. She's Bella's step. Like the word tasted bad. I let a lot of little things go. I told myself it was generational. I told myself they'd come around. I believed that right up until last 4th of July. 4th of July at the beach house was supposed to be special. I had 1 weekend off call, which is rare. I'd rented a pontoon and 2 jet skis for everyone. I'd even moved a brain tumor resection to a colleague's schedule to make it work. The morning of, I was on a call with one of the residents, talking through a post-op complication. By the time I got down to the dock, everyone was already climbing onto the boat. Kids in neon life jackets, coolers loaded, Bluetooth speaker blasting country music. Everyone except Milo. She was sitting on the end of the pier with her towel, legs folded tight, that sketchbook of hers close by. Hey, I said, dropping down beside her. You're not getting on? She shrugged without looking at me. They said there isn't room. I looked up. The boat had space. Too much space. Half the kids were still trying to decide where to sit. My sister caught my eye and called over. We're at capacity, Bella. Coast Guard rules, 18 max. I counted 14. Even if I was missing one, they weren't at 18. I walked closer. There's room for one more. Milo can sit up front with me. Paige's husband chimed in before she did. We already divided the weight by seat, man. It's not safe to change at the last minute. My dad lifted his beer and smirked. You two can take the jet ski out later. Girls' time. Let the cousins have their day. The cousins. Like Milo wasn't one. Behind me, Milo said in this tiny voice, It's okay. I'll stay. I get seasick anyway. She doesn't. She loves the water. One of Paige's kids muttered, She's not even a real cousin. Like it was nothing. Everyone heard it. No one corrected her. My hands clenched so tight my knuckles hurt. I could feel my heart banging against my ribs the way it does in the OR when a clip slips and you have half a second to fix it. I should have said something then, thrown someone off that boat and put Milo in their place, canceled the whole trip, sent everyone home. Instead, I swallowed it again. Text me if you want me, I told Milo. We'll go for ice cream later, okay? She nodded. The boat pulled away. The kids waved. My family laughed. The Bluetooth speaker got louder. Milo stared at the water until they were a small blur. Then she picked up her sketchbook and drew alone on the pier while I went inside and pretended to help Ethan with lunch. That night, while everyone watched fireworks on the beach, she handed me a drawing. The boat. The fireworks. Everyone on deck as stick figures. Off to the side on the pier, a smaller figure with darker lines sitting alone. That's me, she said. It's fine. Sometimes side characters are more interesting. Side character. It took everything in me not to cry right there. My family's been punishing me ever since I started saying no. The first big no was a year and a half ago. My parents wanted an RV so they could finally travel in retirement. Translation, buy a $60,000 house on wheels they couldn't afford and expect me to make the payments. When I told them I wasn't buying them one, my dad didn't talk to me for a month. My mom texted Ethan about how success had changed her. Paige joked that we must be saving for another non-blood child. Mark stayed quiet, but still let them use his Netflix login and my money. The second no was Paige's Dream Bakery. She sent me a 12-page business plan she'd clearly copy-pasted from somewhere online, with investor written next to my name. She wanted $100,000. I told her I'd pay for a real accountant to go over her numbers, but I wasn't bankrolling it. She didn't speak to Milo the next 3 times she saw her, just walked past her like she wasn't there. So by the time the reunion text came, we planned a family reunion at your beach house, 47 people for days. I shouldn't have been surprised. They had created a Facebook event. Paige sent screenshots to the group chat, Family Beach Bash in a cheesy font. My house as the cover photo, pulled from an old Christmas picture Ethan had posted. Under location it said, Bella's Beach House, our family place. Guest list. My parents, both my siblings, all their kids, my parents' church friends, 2 of Paige's coworkers and their kids, a couple of Mark's buddies. No mention of Ethan, no mention of Milo. Just a yellow tag under my name, host. There were posts about room assignments and who's bringing fireworks and kids' bunk room is going to be wild. In one thread, I scrolled down and saw Paige's comment. Don't worry about Milo, she's sensitive. Probably better if she stays at Ethan's parents'. They hate the beach anyway. My mom replied with a heart reaction. Somebody asked, is she not coming at all? And Paige wrote, we'll invite her for a day trip, of course, but the overnight bunk thing is for the real cousins. Ha, the real cousins. I stared at that message for a full minute, my pulse hammering in my ears. I took a screenshot but didn't send it to Ethan yet. I knew how he'd react. I knew how I wanted to react. Instead, I took a breath and wrote that first no in the text thread. The one that got the laughing emojis. I tried to give them a chance. Even then, I called my mom. Hey, I said, I just saw the reunion thing. You didn't ask about dates. Oh, honey, we knew you'd say yes, she said, like I was being silly. You never used the place in August. Ethan and Milo and I were planning a week there. I lied. We talked about maybe going in the fall, but I needed this to land. And 47 people, that's over capacity, the HOA. Oh, don't start with your rules, she cut in. You're always so strict. It's family. Mom, I said carefully, I also saw the comments about Milo. Silence. Those were jokes, she said finally. You know how Paige is. Don't take everything so personally. Milo is different. She doesn't like noise. We don't want her to be uncomfortable. You mean you don't want to adjust anything for her? We're not doing this, she snapped. Either let us use the house or don't, but don't make us the bad guys. You're the one hoarding your blessings. Hoarding. That was rich. I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. I sat there at the kitchen table, looking at my calendar app, the photo of my house as a tiny thumbnail, and a screenshot of that real cousin's comment. Something in me clicked. I had spent years cutting open skulls, delicately moving around the parts of the brain that control speech, memory, movement. I hold people's lives in my hands for hours at a time. And somehow, I still let my family treat my daughter like a side character in a life I was working myself to the bone to provide. That was the last straw. On Friday morning, the day of their big family beach bash, I changed the gate code and hired security. Not in a dramatic movie way, in phone calls, logins, and confirmation emails. First, I called the property management company for the community. "Hey, this is Dr. Bella Carter, Unit 12B, I said. "I'd like to update my access list for the gate and request on-site security for the weekend." The woman on the line perked up immediately. "Of course, Dr. Carter. What are we adjusting?" "Remove all existing recurring guest passes," I said, "especially anything under the last names Carter, Lewis, or Hill. Those were my parents', Paige's, and Mark's surnames." "All removed," she said after a few clicks. "Current guest list is now empty." "Good. And I'd like a guard at the gate from noon to 8 today and tomorrow. No one enters my property unless their name is on a list I'll email. No exceptions." I emailed her a short list. Bella Carter, Ethan Carter, Milo Carter. 3 names, that was it. Next, I logged into the app for the smart lock on the house itself and reset every code. The one my mom used. The one I gave my brother for emergencies. The generic one I'd kept for contractors and cleaners. Gone. New code only Ethan, Milo, and I knew. Then I opened my banking app and went to the family card I'd set up 3 years ago, the one my parents used for gas and emergencies and that Mark and Paige had borrowed for groceries more than once. Balance, $1,982.64. All recent charges at Costco, Walmart, and a fireworks outlet 3 towns over. I transferred the entire remaining balance to my main account and hit the button to freeze the card. "Are you sure?" the app asked. I'd never been more sure. Yes. Lastly, I called the local security company I use for the house alarm. "Hi, this is Dr. Carter. I have a large group planning to enter my property without my consent today. I've arranged gate control, but I'd like one of your people stationed near my driveway entrance for a few hours as a deterrent." The man on the phone was unfazed. "No problem. We'll have someone there by 11:30. You expecting trouble?" "Just a lot of entitlement," I said. He laughed. "We see that more than break-ins, honestly." By the time Milo came downstairs in a Spider-Man t-shirt looking for cereal, everything was set. "Are we still going to the beach this weekend?" she asked cautiously. "We are," I said. "Just us. Maybe Aunt Leah and the twins if they want to join." Leah is my cousin, the only member of my extended family who ever texts me just to ask how Milo's doing, not for money. "What about Grandma and everyone?" Milo asked. "They made other plans," I said. "And we made different ones." She studied my face for a second, then nodded. "Okay." We loaded up the car. Ethan kept glancing at me in the rearview mirror as we drove. "You good?" he asked quietly when Milo put her headphones on. "I think I'm done," I said. Done being their wallet. Done begging them to see our kid. Ethan reached over and squeezed my hand. "Then let's be done." We were already at the beach house, unpacked and barefoot, when the first SUV pulled up to the gate. I saw it on the security app on my phone. The gate camera showed my parents' white SUV, Paige's minivan behind them, a couple of trucks further back, coolers stacked, inflatable paddleboards roped to roofs, kids pressed up against windows. My sister called me immediately. I let it go to voicemail. A moment later, a different number popped up. The gatehouse. "Dr. Carter," the guard's voice crackled through. "We have a group here insisting they have permission to access your property. They're upset." "I'm sure they are," I said. "Their names are not on the list. They do not have permission." "Understood, ma'am. One of them is demanding to speak to you." "Put her on speaker if you want," I said. But my answer isn't changing. There was a shuffle. Then Paige's voice came through, tiny and furious. "Are you kidding me right now?" she snapped. "The gate guy says we're not on the list. It's our reunion, Bella." "No," I said calmly. "It's your reunion at my house that you planned without asking." "Stop being dramatic," she said. "We drove all this way. The kids are excited. Open the gate and we'll talk about whatever you're mad about inside." "No," I repeated. "The house is not available. You need to turn around." In the background, I heard my mom. "What is she saying? Is she opening it?" Paige's voice dropped lower, tighter. "You're really going to pull this because of a stupid Facebook comment. Milo isn't even a beach kid. She hates sand. You're doing this to punish us." I looked out at the deck where Milo was building a small fort with beach towels and chairs, humming completely unaware of the standoff at the gate. You told 47 people you were spending 4 days in a house you don't own, I said. You booked time off work. You bought food. You did all of that without checking with me. And then you planned to exclude my daughter from her own home. We said she could come for the day, Paige shot back. You're twisting this. You're making everything about her. She lives here, I said. You treat her like an afterthought. I'm not hosting a family that doesn't host my kid. My dad's voice cut in, loud and slurred with anger, even over the phone. We raised you, he barked. We wiped your backside, and this is how you repay us? Leaving us on the street like dogs. You think you're better than us with your big brain job and your fancy house. I could picture his face, red and pinched, veins popping in his neck. I'd seen that look my whole childhood. I don't think I'm better, I said. But I am done. I'm not your backup bank. I'm not your beach house. I'm your daughter, and Milo is your granddaughter. If you can't handle that, you don't get access to anything that's mine. For a second, there was nothing. Just the faint sound of waves behind me and some kid crying in one of the cars on the other end. Then my mom started sobbing. You're tearing this family apart, she wailed. Over money, over that girl. Blood is blood, Bella. You don't just cut off your parents. You did that when you decided she wasn't really yours, I said, and hung up. The guard called me back 2 minutes later. They're insisting they have some kind of claim, he said carefully. I've told them multiple times they don't. I can call local PD if they refuse to leave. If they're not gone in 10 minutes, do it, I said. I'm sorry you're stuck in the middle. He chuckled. I've seen worse, but I have to say, ma'am, you're handling this more calmly than most. He didn't see my hands shaking. Milo wandered over, flopping onto the outdoor couch next to me. Can I put my hammock up? She asked. The one Grandma said was a fire hazard. I swallowed a laugh. Yeah, kiddo, put it wherever you want. On my phone, the tiny figures in the camera feed argued with the guard, milled around, then finally turned their cars one by one and drove away. The convoy disappeared down the road. The gate slid shut. I dropped my shoulders for what felt like the first time in years. The next 24 hours were a storm of buzzing phones. Texts from my mother. I can't believe you did this. We're sitting in a Motel 6 because of you. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Then the guilt trips. We already bought all the food. Think of the kids. You ruined their summer. Milo will be fine. She won't even remember. My father's texts were shorter, harsher. You owe us after everything we did. Enjoy your precious house. You'll die alone in it. Paige went nuclear in the family group chat. Bella locked us out of our house over her trauma child. You all saw it. She's been brainwashed by Ethan, who even hired security on their own family. Mark stayed quiet in the group chat but sent me one private message. You could have at least warned us. We took time off work. Couldn't you just have had a talk with them instead? I stared at that for a long time. I've been having talks with them for 11 years, I finally wrote back. The problem isn't that they don't understand. It's that they don't care. Mark didn't respond. Ethan read the messages over my shoulder and shook his head. They're going to paint you as the villain no matter what, he said softly. Might as well be a villain who protects her kid. Around dinner time, as I was flipping burgers on the small grill, my phone buzzed with a name that surprised me. Leah. Hey, she said when I answered. Just heard what happened from Mom. She's stunned. I'm kind of proud of you. Also, are you really at the beach house alone? Because the twins and I can be there in an hour if Milo wants actual cousins who aren't rude. I laughed out loud. Who is it? Milo asked. Your cool cousin Leah, I said. She wants to know if you want company. Milo hesitated, then nodded, a small smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. Only if they like hard games. I brought my whole deck. They do, I said. They like you. Leah showed up just before sunset with her 2 kids, a bag of groceries, and a look on her face that said she'd been arguing with someone all afternoon. They're saying I betrayed the family by coming here, she said as soon as we hugged. My mom told me I was choosing sides. Are you? I asked. She glanced over at Milo, who was showing her daughter the hammock. Yeah, she said simply. I am. We roasted marshmallows on the grill because I hadn't thought to buy skewers. The kids built a lopsided sandcastle by the steps. Milo's laugh came easier and easier as the night went on. At one point, Leah leaned on the railing beside me. I saw that Facebook thread, she said quietly. The real cousins thing. I wanted to say something then, but my mom told me to stay out of it. I'm sorry I didn't. You're here now, I said. That's what matters. Down on the sand, Milo put one of her intricate shells on top of the sandcastle like a flag. Leah's daughter clapped like it was the coolest thing she'd ever seen. My phone vibrated again on the table behind us. I didn't check it. The fallout kept going after we got home Sunday. Missed calls, voicemails, a long email from my father with words like ungrateful and disrespectful and betrayal. A shorter one from my mother. You humiliated us. People from church were with us. They saw everything. We told them the gate was broken so you wouldn't look bad. You should be thanking us. Paige wrote a paragraph about how I'd traumatized her kids by changing their plans at the last minute. None of them mentioned Milo. Not once. Not the boat last year. Not the comment about real cousins. Not the exclusion from the reunion bunks. Not the stalking. Not the years of small cuts. They talked about money, convenience, face. I realized then it had never really been about family for them. I was a line item in their budget, a resource, a door that stayed open as long as I swallowed things. That door was closed now.